Okay, so tell you about myself. My name is Andrew Mwavua. I was born and raised in Kenya. Grew up solidly middle class. Sometimes almost slipped out of it, as often happens in Kenya. But I was fortunate after high school to be able to go to the United States for further studies. Got to the United States with $300, a partial scholarship, hope, prayer, and a dream. Lucky for me, it was the same flight with my brother, is 1 year older. And we were our support group. No relatives, nothing. And even the person supposed to meet us didn't show up to the airport. Turns out that was the best introduction to life in the United States, or even just adult life, period. Because, you know, you count on yourself, and God rains his blessings as he does on all his children, and any other help you get is a bonus. And so, I mean, we learned that from, landing there. I was 17, my brother Daniel was 18. But, say what you want about America, it's not perfect, certainly isn't. But the one thing is, you might have to work harder than some, you might have to work longer than some. But if you apply yourself hard enough, long enough, you can make it. You can make something of yourself. It's true for more people now. The challenge that America has, as many other countries now have, is to make that true for more and more people, increasing proportions of their populations. In any event, studied finance for a very simple reason. University of Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C. And it was for a very simple reason. All my life, I loved basketball, I loved football, I loved music and the arts. But there was always the answer of not enough money. Mom, I want to do piano lessons, not enough money. I want to do X, not enough money. So I said, okay, this is very simple. I will go to school and learn about this thing called money. Simple as that. My father always said, apply your knowledge, whatever you want to do, make sure you're the best at it, since you've said that's what you want to do. So I sought out internships in finance. I knew I was aspiring to buy a home one day. I didn't have enough money to buy a home cash, so I figured I might as well learn how to finance housing. So I focused on the aspect of finance called mortgage banking. Worked from the ground floor up. I mean, just from a loan processor, which is just a glorified paper pusher. You're verifying people's jobs and incomes and such, and rose up to being a loan officer, office manager. Then I became a broker and had my own mortgage brokerage. Run that for the better part of a decade, solidly 8.5 years. Got into small scale real estate development, and then 2007, skinny guy with a funny name. Was arrogant enough to think that even though his names were Barack Hussein Obama, he could become president of the United States. This is America after 9/11. His middle name is Hussein. We'd only gone to war with, Saddam Hussein. So it was a very, very audacious vision and belief in himself. But I've been fortunate enough to have read his books. Both dreams of my father and then audacity of hope, and so I was convinced, and plus seeing the 2004 convention speech and other things he had done, I was convinced that if America and the world was to focus on the merits of the ideas and ideals he espoused, that we had a fighting chance with the best of them. My question was, would they? Would people look past the name, past the background, broken family, past the mixed race, past all of that to the substance of the person, not the veneer, not the wrapping? Well, I was very cautiously optimistic, never really took the time to think about, can we really win?
And what role did you play?
I was a field organizer. It's been a common theme in my life. I've never started at the top, really. Always start from the bottom and continue, as most people do. I don't think that's unique to me. I was a field organizer. First of all, started out in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. But as we left the primaries, went to the general election, went across the United States, literally drove halfway across the United States, and spent the rest of my time in Missouri. Uh, it was a transformative experience for me. And it had nothing to do with Obama, me. What do I mean? It changed my life because it's one thing to say impossible is nothing, it's another thing to see an impossibility become a reality. Because in the early primaries, there were no polls to tell us we would win. We certainly didn't have enough money. We certainly didn't have superior organization or resources than Hillary Clinton or name recognition. And so to see what was just a vision, well planned for, well articulated, a plan to execute it, strategic capacity to back it, and really just work it from unlikely prospect to President of the United States, it erased all of my excuses. I say Obama's election got rid of all my excuses. There's no more excuses. So it was very liberating in that regard. And so I started to imagine about all the excuses I made about why I didn't return home. I have to provide for my family. I must be in a stable economy. All the excuses I'd ever made. Well, I was in America after 2007, the financial crisis. So there you go. Overnight, a lot of people's livelihoods, including my own, were eradicated. We'd seen constitutional and political crises. And then despite all of that, despite all of the challenges, he gets elected. So no more excuses. So then I said, okay, Andrew, you've been saying you should go back home. I think it's time. And for me, it's a very simple reason. I don't think the major importance of life is what you acquire. Nothing against that. And in fact, no able-bodied adult should be a burden to themselves or their family or their community. So no, I'm a finance guy after all. I have no problem with financial progress. But that's not the major importance of life. I think when it's all said and done, the important thing about life is how many people's lives were positively affected because you were here. And that is immortality, really. That's what we're talking about. Gandhi was never the richest man, but he's a great man. And to this day, we still speak about him. And he might have been dead for decades, but he is still affecting lives to this very day. Now that's power. That's meaning. And that's immortality. I mean, this side of heaven, if you choose to believe there is one, as I do, but this side of heaven, that's the only part of immortality you can ever have. I mean, and other examples, Martin Luther King, people who contributed and affected lives. Well, in Africa, there's nothing but space and opportunity. Yes, I was blessed to serve the United States very well. I started businesses, 2 of them. I employed Americans, citizens there, so I created jobs there. I paid a huge amount of money in taxes. But in the land of my birth, which gave me my foundation, which gave me my chance, which gave me my identity of self, I hadn't done much except send some remittances. So I felt it as a moral obligation, but it's really just a labor of love and great satisfaction to seek a way that I could come back home. Whatever I could be involved with in a mature economy and society as the United States would be incremental, largely. Very difficult to have a transformational impact there. I was part of a team that had a transformational impact, but I find when you come home here, it's so ground floor and opportunity that almost anything positive you do, you apply yourself enough, could have a transformational impact. Only question is for how many people, or how many countries, or how many counties. I mean, whichever way you want to count. And so, look, Africa is poised to take off. The only question is, will Africans get behind Africa? So together we can have that momentum to really, and I don't think it's going to take as long as it's taken other countries necessarily. If we can learn from the lessons of history, harness technology, we could really shorten this curve immensely. So I'm just one of many. It's going to take all of us, and then that's why I came back home.
You're such an orator. You're such an orator. Tell me, what was in a short little soundbite, the best bit about coming home and the worst bit about?
I mean, the best part about coming home is it's home. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. The worst, I don't know if it's the worst. I think the worst part about it was that confidence, crisis of confidence. It's one thing to lay plans. When you come and maybe things don't work as fast as you thought and you start to doubt yourself, So was I, too arrogant? Was I too fast? Maybe, but look, it's just like anything else in life. Believe in yourself, get good advice, plan, do, and review over and over again, you'll make it. Yeah. So I'm Andrew Mwavua. I've returned home to Nairobi, Kenya, after being in the United States for almost 18 years. I've just finished being the deputy director for a presidential campaign, but really I'm a political management consultant, analyst, and entrepreneur. So, there's plenty of work to do. Plenty of work to do.